So on those beautiful points, I'd like you to consider Unity as either an authoring environment, is it the Microsoft Word of a video game creation, or is it a game itself? And as you play with it, you'll realize it can be very fun to play with. So first, go to Applications and open Unity. They'll prompt you to make a new thing. We want a new project. We want to click the button that says 2D. You want to name your project something evocative and exciting that will get everyone to want to play it forever. Interestingly, this analytics button, actually Unity is collecting back-end information about our use of it, and they have a very large learning science department, and they publish how people learn about how learning. So this is kind of getting meta right here.
I'm frozen on name. I don't mean it's frozen. I mean, no, I need to, because to me this is like coming up with a name for one's fantasy team or something. So I'm trying to get, all right, just a minute. Okay.
All right, so quick overview of what we're seeing right now. This is basically a movie inspector. Up here we have services, get rid of services, get to inspector. This is our canvas here in the middle. Over here is the files. Basically, this is a picture of the file folder which makes up our game. So right now we have one folder in there and it's called assets. And as the game develops, you'll put images in there and sounds in there, and that stuff doesn't exist in any one scene we're going to make, like in a movie. It kind of exists as the total corpus of stuff which we could draw from, our resource base. Over here on the left-hand side is the ones in this scene. So to make our first scene, go up to Assets, Import Packages, and Import 2D. This is basically so we get Unity with nothing in it, but on the web there's millions and millions of resources that people produce and sell, and they come with all this stuff. Some of that was produced by Unity, so you'll see a list of all these assets. We want to import all of this. And what you're going to see is nothing appears on the top left, but this is going to get populated with a bunch of new folders full of new material that we can use to make our program.
Scaffolding.
So as you see a bunch of stuff appeared here. We care about the standard assets, not the editor folder. So we're going to come down here, open it up, open up 2D. We want prefabs. These are things which have been made previously that are these objects are collections of scripts and images and collider objects and sensors, and Unity has put them together for us to create a compound object which does interesting things right out of the box. So take one of these objects, I recommend this one, and place it in the scene. And we've created our first game object.
Is it platform 12x?
It doesn't matter. Any of those white platforms will be sufficient. And then take the far left little robot boy and put him in the scene, him or her. We don't need to be gendered here. And then what we've done is we've created our very first scene. So this robot is made of a listener, so it has a keyboard listener in it, and it also has, it comes pre-built with interactivity. This object here
You define listener?
Event listener. It's listening for events of some sort, mouse clicks, or this one is listening for the arrow keys and the space bar. And it does stuff when you press that, and that's built into its code. It also has a thing called a box collider, which means it is a rigid body in this world, and the white thing also does. So we're going to play our first game. Come up here and press play. And if you use the arrow keys, you exist. If you fall down for all eternity, and you never see your robot boy again. If you don't put the platform under him, you'll just fall for all eternity. Spacebar makes a jump. So you have your first basic game.
Ah. How do you like that? Oh, sorry.
Oh, how do you get your robot back? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
You press play and start over because we didn't give a return or a death sequence. So this is what I wanted to ask. What do you want from here?
I like the jumping.
You want to jump?
Infinitely be able to jump up from ledge to ledge.
Yeah. Okay. So to do that, there's a really super cool hack. There's many other ways to do this, but come over here to your game hierarchy. You see this thing called the main camera? So if you, on my computer, if you zoom out, like hold two buttons and zoom out, you can go out. This is your world. So the main camera is just what's inside this white box. It's just pointing right there. So what we're going to do is do a super cool hack and put the main camera underneath the boys hierarchy.
Pause. I'm sorry. Where's the main camera?
See on the left-hand side?
Yes.
Click it and drag it into the boys hierarchy until it lights up as you see right here. Because remember, the robot boy is a constituted of many objects. So what we've done is called the camera a component of the boy instead of saying we have a camera and we have a boy. So wherever now the reference, it used to be the camera was referring to the main canvas. Now the camera says my sync point is the boy. So wherever the boy is, I'm going to be wherever you position me in comparison to that parent node. If that makes sense. Has everyone got that?
No.
Yeah.
Gabby's helping me get Scaffold.
Great.
And then there's the main camera bit.
Cool.
Just drag it until, see, it's if I undo blah, blah, blah.
But my robot always fall through the bar.
What's wrong with your robot?
I don't know, or maybe something wrong with the bar.
Something could be wrong with the bar. Did you put your robot really high?
Not really high.
You want me to, which bar did you put?
Platform 04 by 01.
Oh, you really could make a game pretty quickly with this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. I
Okay.
see why you're talking about Unity.
So there's the character boy. I'm going to show you what I mean, and then I'm going to try to fix the problems. Because once I give you this, you have the ability to do infinite gaming. So now the camera, if you notice, is following the boy instead of... So if I jump off the ledge now, I fall forever, and the camera chases me. So if you want to make a platformer, you just drag this up here. You put a bar. You put the guy. He falls. Now you jump up there. And you just keep doing that. Brian, are you still falling through the bar?
This time it works. I put another bar there.
Yes. So the thing that's happening, if you see this arrow key, your collider is here. So sometimes what happens is you can delete. Sometimes the internal components just vanish, and then the thing which is making you have a physical form is this thing called a collider, which is just an edge box, and the computer says, do these two edge boxes touch? And for whatever reason, these prefabs sometimes fall apart, and those colliders vanish, so you have to go check them to make sure they're there. So let's take 5 or 6 minutes and build, if your camera is working, and build a level that just kind of does that.
How do you get over
It
if you
doesn't-
change directions, the glitchiness of the character?
Yeah, why not the view?
Right? It like,
I think if you zoom the camera out a little bit.
mine's pretty easy though.
Okay, I've run into that problem. I played with it for a while and it eventually got okay, but
How do you change the background?
Can't right click on it and put keyboard image?
It's a little more complicated than
Okay,
I mean
maybe
that
I'll add more stuff first.
yeah. It doesn't. I'll show you one that does have a background, and then and it's just a little bit of a component.
What were the characteristics of the environment you wanted us to build?
There's no characteristics and there is no scaffolding. I just build platforms you can jump between, and either going up or
And
down.
Remind me how I get him. Why won't he go off there? Oh, spacebar is jump. Well, I had one there and I moved it and it came out.
You easily move things.
You can click on them in the window, and then you can drag. Or sorry, this controls. Up here,
Okay.
and then you get a box.
Wait, do that again?
These are your tools. The crosshair gives you
Oh,
this
tools.
one, and you can drag it. You can also rotate them here. You can make them bigger here.
So I'm just putting lines in places for this creature to
And then
hop around.
you're play testing it to make sure that he can jump between them. And Absolutely not.
So if I use the little put it on an angle tool, and I make one of my
Uh-huh.
friends do that, he doesn't seem to like behave geometrically like slide, like a sort of like kind of thing.
So you have a substance on your. Let's explode this. We're clicking on this one right now, and we opened it. Prototype. Somewhere in here, there's a material which it is made of, and here we go. So see, it says slider here. So our material for that is slippery. So that makes it like you can slide off the material, but you can come into physical materials and you can change this over here from slippery to sticky or bouncy. And if you play with those,
Okay, so physics materials, I'm putting slippery under slider.
so over here on your right-hand side, you have your inspector. So this is it. So I want to change this to bouncy. I haven't really tried this, but I know this is what causes it. And I drop that, and I'm on. Who am I on? I'm supposedly on this. So let's try that and see if I actually became bouncy. I don't know. Yeah. So this thing is more bouncy than the other ones.
Where did you drop that, Bounty?
Yeah, so I opened up, came to my a platform of choice, and I
Yeah.
took the arrow, and I opened up its constituent parts, and you have two sliders that exist here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the edge material, actually. This is the cap at the end of it, so you can make those sticky, slippery, or bouncy. And then you just put that material, you put one of these physical materials in that material component. That's the advanced class.
Granted, it's advanced class. I just want to. I'm more interested right now in like the logic of how you did that. So I.
So
click on the object.
let me scaffold. This one is a better example
Okay.
because I can touch it.
So
Right now, our sliders are this end part. So
by slider,
this
What do we mean here?
there's an object. See that green outline right there?
Yes.
This is an actual game object, and it has this material
So
of
if I was
slippery.
standing on the
So-
edge, that would be slippery.
So if you see when I play it, you'll see it when I touch the edge. I fall off it. If I can touch that edge. But if I touch these edges, they're slippery, so I slide off them. But let's change it to sticky, and you'll see what I mean. So now this object here is sticky, and so when I touch it, instead of falling, I stick to it like until I,
Yeah.
and then when I release my button, I fall down. But I can like stick on to the
Seems
slippery
like-
subject.
Incredibly powerful compared to what programs are having to do to create these behaviors. In old school.
I mean, Unity has actually been around for about 15 years. It just used to cost $3,000, and only last year did it become free. So this is a very old tool, and people have been building games with this for a while now. But you're right, for free, this is incredibly
It's a really
powerful.
thing. Okay.
And when I show you some of the, this is like, when I show you some of the other stuff this thing can do, it's pretty cool. So bouncy is also fun. If you haven't played around with the, here's what. Let me show you one of my favorite things. So each of these objects is a box collider, which gives it physics. So if you haven't played around with this guy, the yellow one, it's pushable. So we can push it around. It's a little box. One thing you can do with it, which I find really neat, create pink, is over here you have your inspector, and this is my physical components. So if I say this thing does not respond to gravity, I just turn that to 0 and I play with it, it no longer falls. So it does this fun bouncy stuff. If I make it negative gravity, gravity is now inversed. So it flies up and down instead of down. I lied to you. But I have had that happen before. Oh, there we go.
You have to connect to the 0.
Oh, I put -0. Then that's, thank you.
Okay, so just because I'm still in kindergarten here, so the way you got that was you dragged your little pink crate up into the, what do you call that,
The view.
the view. Then left
Thanks.
panel, you highlighted it, and then you gave it its properties by messing with stuff in the right.
Yeah. So if I click on any object, it has an inspector view here. So this one has a component called the rigid body 2D, anything with rigid body 2D responds to the built-in physics engine of Unity.
I'm just stunned at how, as I look at this, and I think about a game like Flappy Bird,
Yep, Flappy Bird was built in this.
this seems like it would have taken like a couple days.
I think it took him 2 weeks to get a production version of Flappy Bird.
Right. That's amazing to me. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
it puts it within the realm of possibility to do such things.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's. I wanted to show you how to do an exit, so you can go to another scene. So we live in another. This is a world. This is a scene in a project. A scene is one particular movie scene. You can go to a second one. So if you save this scene, you name it, and that would be a level. I'm just call it level 1. There's also an introduction to scripting.
Well, it wants to save it in assets, but that doesn't.
No, that's fine. Yeah, so it'll come over here into assets. And now let's say we wanted to reorganize it because we didn't like that. We could put a folder in here called scenes, and we could drag this into our scenes folder.
I see it. You know something oddly coincidental that's neither here nor there? The name I made up, looking for something completely random and odd, was whiteboard panels, because as we are building the school, we were fretting with the custom whiteboard panels, and somebody was like, oh, you can just get shower board at Home Depot, and it works exactly like whiteboard, and it's like incredibly cheap. So whiteboard panels were on my mind. So I named my thing whiteboard panels. And what am I moving around?
Whiteboard
White
panel.
panels. All right.
So before, as I said, there's a box collider. The box collider is the thing which we run into, which means I can move my pink crate. So put a pink crate into your scene. Come over here and say, is a trigger. So before we were saying it's a solid object, and now what we're saying is once we press is a trigger, it's a thing which says do action. Like signal to the computer you have interacted with it. Now we're going to add a component. It's going to be a new script.
Can you back up
Yes.
40 seconds? So I've got my pink crate in here.
Now your box collider, there's an is trigger button.
Got it.
Click it. Then you come down here, add component, and we're just going to call a new script. You're going to call this exit. So this creates over here a new script thing. So let's edit our script.
New script. I see.
This opens the built-in script developer, which is called MonoDevelop. It comes with Unity.
So as far as this.
How did you open it?
I double-clicked on it.
On the C#
Then
file.
Yeah, on the C# file. So you should see this
Now we're-
MonoDevelop thing.
That is a good question. I don't know.
Okay, so now I've created a script. It's checked in the inspector view.
Yeah, and then you come over here to your assets folder and you double-click on this C# script.
Got it.
So in here, is everyone in the script?
Monodevelop, loading.
Let me go grab the script.
Oh, yes.
So what we're to Scaffold is what we're doing now is saying when the trigger happens. So when when a box collider interacts with this box collider, that's going to cause a trigger, and that trigger is going to signal this code to fire. Whatever we put in this code is going to happen when two box colliders interact with each other. Does that make sense? Let me go. I somehow lost my script.
I feel like I'm just learning the hell out of this hour. Just an intense amount of learning happening right now.
Which one was it? When I opened this MonoDevelop, it killed my other instance of MonoDevelop where my prearranged script was hanging out. So I just garaging. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to say when you get into here, when you get into this thing, you're going to do this activity. So we have a character object that we're going to tag. The robot boy we're going to tag as the player, which is just a made-up like a string called player. So if you want, what you do is you're going to copy this text into this text into your version of this field. So I would recommend typing it.
Battle thing.
So where do I find load battle?
You don't find that. You read off here.
Will you zoom in a bit? Can you?
Yeah, I think so.
It's getting a little different.
I know.
I lied. You cannot zoom in. So basically up here you have the using Unity Engine. You already have that. Using Systems Collection. You already have that. Then you'll need to need to type this string, which is using Unity Engine dot scene management semicolon. Then you're going to create a public class. The public class over here is load battle, but over here we've named it exit. That's just the name of our script. So just leave that line as you have it over here. Just skip it over here. Then we're going to create just below. See this bracket? Just here, we're going to create a string, or create the ability to load a string in the game engine rather than here. So it's going to be a little text field where we can load in a variable that's going to be our level's name. So we're going to say public string level, and level is a variable that we're going to define later. We have not defined it yet. It is of type string and it is public, which means the rest of our game can see this string rather than just being inside this bit of code. And then this stuff all gets nixed. We don't care about any of that. That last bracket's going to stick around and it's going to close off this piece of code. And we're going to say it is private. So in this case, it's not, the rest of our thing cannot see it. It's going to be void, which means it doesn't info of anything. And what this is saying is on trigger enter. So remember we defined that pink box as a trigger. So when something else enters that trigger, this is going to fire. So and this is of 2D nature, and because this is a 3D engine originally, in this case it's only 2D.
Question?
Yes?
Given that exiting seems like such a common game function, why wouldn't this be the thing that's like built into?
You'll actually run into that again and again in Unity. Basically, it's the protectionism of the game environment, is my belief. So there's a lot of things you would think were dead obvious that they don't provide a scaffolded means into. And I think it's a way of protecting developer dollars. So if you're someone who gets good at this, you make a lot of money. So why on earth give people a way in? That's my experience trying to learn Unity without somebody around me. So then we're going to, remember we have not named the robot, we have not tagged the robot boy player, so if we just went right now and ran this code, it wouldn't work because the player object has not been named as a player object with the tag.
Could you please just, actually when we're done with this, I'm going to ask you to do this. You spelled scene.
I did.
It says scene.
We didn't do it? Oh, I can't spell for crap. Make sure all your brackets line up. I seem to have missed one somewhere.
So does the spacing and tab matter?
Is
it like Python?
It is not as bad as Python. There is times when it matters quite a lot, but for the most part, the colons is driving a lot of it. So sometimes if you put a bracket and you don't indent this, it won't know it's the child of, but it's not as strict as Python. C# is a weird blend of a couple different languages, so it takes some of the peculiarities of C and Python and takes some of the flexibility of Java. So if you have all this, you can build this, which I
Can we
mean,
pause?
yeah.
Just 40 seconds. Can you just walk through
what's
the
happening?
logic in English of what we just put in?
Sure. So at the very top, we're using, this is a C# script of type Unity engine, because C# is a
Got
big
it.
language, Unity is smaller. And then we're using the system collection, which is a collection of code bases, which means we can call this stuff from there. And the scene manager was actually an addition in the last couple of years. They used to have something else which was worse. And this is like as you're saying, an upgrade for making it easier. This is easier, so we have to load that stuff. Then we're creating a thing, which is called exit, and that thing is a script. In that script, we do two things. We input an argument from the outside, from somewhere we're going to input it, called level. It's going to be a string, which means it's made of letters and numbers, and it's not a number. It's private, and then we're going to say the logic of what we're actually going to do after we call out that stuff and it's initialized is when you enter this game object, which is a trigger. Basically, there's a green box. When you enter in the canvas the size, what you're going to do is you're going to fire, and you're going to load the thing which is of the name level, which we have passed in above. So let's save that. Command S, build that. Command B. If you build successful, that means you didn't miss a semicolon. Does everyone get it?
No,
Anyone
I
get?
unexpected symbol public, expecting something oral. Public. I guess I can do that first. So I wrote exit : non-behavior, which I thought it was supposed to be there. Sorry. Oh, I got it.
Oh, yeah, right. That's it.
Okay.
Everyone good for the next steps, or do you
No.
anyone need time?
Close parameter player.
I've got some red.
There we
Okay.
go.
Usually means it can't find the library. Oh, load battle, that needs to be exit. Instead, if you named your script exit, you need to name it whatever you named your script.
Okay. And then I just added that because it's on your screen.
Yeah, that's just a comment. That's the old way of doing it, but you can get rid of everything but that bracket. Try Command B. You have is it a colon or a semicolon there at the end? It should be a semicolon. Now it's a semicolon.
Yeah.
Okay, try Command B again.
That's supposed to be a comma or period?
Oh, scene management instead of scene manager.
Oh. That's supposed to be a comma or period?
Where?
That one was a no one. That's fine.
Okay, it's just it's called. Okay, everyone here? Okay, come back to Unity. We've just written our first script. Nothing would happen if we ran it right now, so come up to your character body, your character boy. It's of player. See this tag button here? Mine is player, is yours player?
Yes.
All right, now we need to come back to our exit object. Does anyone else see that error? Or is that just me because I didn't actually make a script?
Oh.
What error were you referring to?
I have an error in mine. Do you guys see a place to enter a string name?
Yeah, for level.
Yeah, okay, so we don't have another scene yet. Mine, for whatever reason, is working, but I can walk you through it. You don't have another scene yet. So Command in or come up to File and make a new scene. Remember, you already saved this at level 1. So now come up here. Well, if you didn't, then when you say new scene, it'll ask you. Save it. Now we have a brand new canvas. Save this one as some other name. Remember that name. You'll need to put it in the other field. Then you need to go back to scene 1. So to come back, see down here in the assets, you have level 1. Just double click on level 1. You'll go back. Level 2. So these are separate, like separate pages on a web page or separate levels in a level in a game.
So now I go here and I go to level 2. I think it's gonna work. Skipping ahead.
All right.
It fell.
Last thing
you
you
have to make it defy gravity. Sorry.
last thing you need to do is undo your script, put in the text of the name of the level you want to do.
Yeah.
You did that? Okay. Then we need to build our project. Do you have a question?
Oh, yeah, the box has no clip, so it falls through the platform.
Delete its rigid body. It doesn't need a rigid body anymore. Or turn its gravity to 0. Either one would be successful.
That's
Okay, then the last thing you need is to create a build order. So come up to File, say Build Settings. This is telling the game to know all the scenes which make up this game. So select the 2 scenes you want to make up this game, drag them into your scene. That's all you have to do
build
there.
settings. Is that right?
Build settings, and then you have then you just drag your 2 main scenes into your build settings.
Where did you see the 2 scenes?
They're down here in your assets.
Oh,
Ah, yes, okay.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, me too.
And what that's going to say is your project, when you build it, will consist of these scenes, which are files, and all of these consist of one program. To move between levels, you have to tell them what level you're going to go to.
Did it build?
No, that would actually make a standalone application. So if it's working, you should be able to press play at this point and jump through it. Like,
Close build settings?
yeah, you can just close it.
Oh, wait, no.
Oh, it worked!
Mine didn't work.
And you went to an empty canvas?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I have to go.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're over time by a good amount.
Do we have to end at 4:30 usually?
This room gets booked up, so there's only an hour period, but
We're going to have to be very efficient with our time.
yeah.
Thank you guys so much for organizing this.
Yeah, thank you
Super
for being
excited.
impressed.
Yeah.
Colin, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
You're
you
going to
too.
be doing this like you're going to be here?
Yeah,
Awesome. Really.
I got the release time, so Thursdays are wide open after I leave school. So
Colin, is yours working?
I quick build and run, but I didn't.
Oh, you don't need to do that. Peter, just play with this, and next week we'll like show and tell for a minute or something.
Okay.
Oh, you don't need to build and run.
All right, I just quick build.
Just close that. Did you? Okay. Then you made a second scene. Go to your pink box, your exit. Turn off its gravity. Give it the name of the level you want to make its gravity 0. Otherwise, your exit will fall forever. Put in the name of your second level in that field. That's Pat. Remember when we said this? We're going to give it a level of a string. This is the string. It should work now if you play. So play
That does the capital make it an issue?
Oh, actually, it needs to be named level. This.
Oh, this one needs to be a level.
You could pass it a string in here without. This gives us more flexibility. If you were going to do it that way, you would just put the quotes there
Okay.
and then put the name of the level you wanted to load.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Go back to your development, press build.
Oh.
Command. You need to build. No, not this. In your mono development. In your script, press Command B to build the script to make sure it compiles.
All right.
All right, now try to go back and play.
The secret is that you just drop down
So then you go to your second level. If you built your second level, you would appear. Yeah. Then you could go level to level to level.
Is there how do I? Is there a way to widen the view so that when I play?
Click on your main camera underneath your boy. See those little toggles?
Oh, okay.
You click on those and drag them out. So you actually have to get the toggle. You just click on the white box.
Oh.
How do you quit blue screen? So basically,
Oh, did you built it and
Yeah.
made it stand? You press this Command Q. Did you do full screen or do you make a standalone application?
I don't know. I chose build it.
Oh yeah, you made then you actually made an application. So
Okay.
just quit it and you'll quit the applet. Command Q. So you can also use scenes for like making narrative or like splash screens and GUI interfaces and all that stuff. And we'll talk about that. Okay, that's all I had to show this week. As I said to Peter, next week we'll take a minute each and just build some, add on to that, maybe 2 or 3 levels and play with gravity or something, do whatever you want, and we'll show each other what we did and what challenges we had.
This is really